Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today in War Thunder it is time to talk about a new nation which is coming to the game. As I talked about earlier in the week, the Swedish are coming. Now they are coming in an interesting way. The first two vehicles from the Swedish tech tree are going to be here when it comes to the aviation side in update 1.93. You're having a look at one of them now, and then in update 1.95 the full Swedish aviation tech tree is going to be added to the game. So see these vehicles right now as pre-purchase. We're going to be having a look at the J29D. The other one is a Finnish vehicle, which is very similar to the BF109 with some slight differences. Once the devblog for that comes out, we'll make sure to have a look. This one we're going to focus on, of course, the SAAB J29D that you are seeing in front of you. But after the Swedish aviation tech tree is added in update 1.95, after that, then the ground and the naval will come probably in the next year, but that isn't confirmed, at least from what I know. We had a look at the kind of sneak peek stream earlier on today, and it was wonderful to see many people talking and chatting along on the Twitch channel. So if you were there, if you were following along, thank you for coming along. It was an absolute blast, and we'll definitely have to do some of those in the future. So let's get into the J29D. This is going to be the top tier pre-purchase premium that is going to be on offer for the Swedish. The pre-order pack is actually available now, since it is going to be available in update 1.93. Now, the interesting factors that the J29 has is, first of all, the girth. It has a very large center of the vehicle, as you can see. On top of this, the main armament that it can carry is 4 30mm. Now, the 30mm are ADENs. They're actually ADENs cannons that you find on the British vehicles, such as the Hunters and everything like that. So therefore, the aircraft having 4 of these things with 100 rounds per gun, meaning 400 rounds overall, is incredibly deadly. The only issue, though, of having so much firepower in the nose is once you fire that firepower, you are going to lose so much speed while firing it. It is going to be insane. On top of this as well, when it comes to this vehicle, they tested it a little bit when it came to the test stream. It definitely looked a little bit sluggish off the board. The acceleration definitely didn't seem like it was there. And another thing to note as well is that it was likened to a MiG-15, meaning that it would have similar characteristics to at least how it would handle, which was kind of interesting because it didn't really seem like that. But the main thing to understand is it has insane firepower with its main cannons. It also has a bunch or a plethora of secondary armaments as well, such as a bunch of rockets that you can see here. And on the Gaijin.net page, where you can order it for $49.99, you can find that it's going to have 75, 145, 150, and 180mm caliber unguided rockets. So this isn't just a machine which is going to be good in the air, at least in head-ons. It is also going to be good in the way that it will be able to carry secondary ordnance, which will be used in ground forces. Something that, for me, I think is an incredibly useful thing, at least in this day and age, where War Thunder, for me, is a multi combined arms effort. Everything, if it has crossover into another game mode, is going to be much better, at least on my checklist of things that I'm looking for. So if this has access to like 180mm unguided rockets, which are anti-ship rockets, then this is going to factor much better into if it didn't have them. So even though this thing maybe won't have the best performance when it comes to aerialistic, when it comes to the ground game, when the Swedish ground forces are added, it will have that extra option, which gives it some nice little oomph behind it. On top of this as well, it does have an average speed of 977 kilometers an hour, which is incredibly fast for at least what was on the test stream at 7.3. I've got a feeling it's going to go up in BR. I think it's going to be a little bit higher than 7.3, but we'll have to see when it actually gets added. Another thing to note as well, from at least looking at this machine in general, is something to point out is the place where the rockets are actually stored. They are stored very central to the fuselage, therefore we're in a situation where it should be quite easy to aim them, where the convergence is a lot less in this regard than we've seen before. We also see the actual pilot model for the Swedish jets. The power stance and the gloves are definitely where it's at. I'm personally a big fan of the shoes. I think the shoes are absolutely wonderful, and it's always lovely to see the models of the of the pilots in the game. I think when it comes to pilot models in any game, War Thunder has easily the best, and when it comes to historical accuracy and also just overall look and pizzazz. Then we have the fact that this machine doesn't really have any other real bells and whistles to it. It does have the RM2B engine with an afterburner, which gives it 25% greater thrust, good old bit of power behind it, and because this machine is the D variant, there are other variants of the J29 that we could see in the tech tree. So even though this is going to be quite a high vehicle when it comes to its BR, at least there can be a standard tech tree equivalent for it, which could easily be put in the tech trees if they wanted to. So that's always nice future proofing when it comes to it. You can see here the jet fighter is able to achieve slightly over 1,000 kilometers at sea level, so nothing that's really going to blow away a lot of the machines that it will be facing, with a 55 meters per second climb rate with afterburner enabled. So it's really going to be key on that afterburner and how useful, or if it burns out or if it doesn't over time. So yeah, it's definitely one to really look at. My only problem with this that I'm worried about is the maneuverability. They emphasize it a lot in this Devblog as a key part of the machine, but as discussed before, the fact that the engine itself is quite small, and also the fact that when you fire your ADENs, or they're not called ADENs, they're called like ACANs, but they are just ADENs, the fact that when you fire them you're going to lose so much speed, it's really going to hurt it. Also doesn't have access to air-to-airs, but I don't think it'll be at the BR where you see a lot of air-to-airs, or at least decent air-to-airs I should say. Being at $49.99, along with the plane itself, you get 2,000 GE. You also get yourself 15 days worth of premium, the pre-order bonus of the Ostgotha Air Force wing emblem, which is this one right here with the lovely crown on the top, and also the Viking title, so you can get yourself that wonderful title as well. Since this machine is coming out now, remember, I know a lot of you are looking forward to the Swedish ground vehicles. That is obviously going to be very fun to play, especially with all of the different and wonderful models that they created in the World War II period and post-World War II. But something to remember is when you buy a pack like this, normally if there is a top-tier premium that is coming for the Swedish ground forces, they'll normally do a bundle, right? So you can get that one at a discounted price when you have already got this. They're already doing it right now when you have a look at the vehicles with the T55AM and the Black Shark pre-order. So if you already have the T55AM, it is actually cheaper for you to get the Black Shark than it would be if you were just buying it by itself. So that is at least something to think about, and with the Swedish tech trees confirmed now, it is something to definitely remember. So now with 2,000 GE and 15 days worth of premium, this normally works out to be around about $15, $10 to $15. So you're paying about $30 for this machine. And to be honest, obviously it's your money. It is always going to be up to you if you want to spend it or not. But it being the first premium that is going to be around for the Swedish, for me, when I've had a look at community tech tree Swedish projects and also other ideas when it comes to what are the jets and what are the propeller planes that we can get for Sweden, I'm not too enthused by it. The ground forces and the naval forces stuff really I'm enthusiastic about. So maybe this will be a good pickup just to try and get through those ranks, but I'm always a proponent to grind through the trees so you can understand the vehicles and you can modify them out so you have a good basis of at least knowledge to understand each vehicle from. I'm personally not going to be picking it up just because I don't particularly like jets in general. But if I was a person who did like jets, I would very much be inclined to pick this up, just because being the first, Swedish vehicle that is coming into the game, and also the fact that it should be pretty competitive as long as they get the BR right. And for me, the BR being correct around 8.0 would mean that it would be a very fun vehicle to use. I'm really happy to see the Swedish. Having two separate nations brought into the game in the same year is something which is unprecedented in War Thunder's history, showing that we are going into a new era of War Thunder where more minor nations, even though Sweden isn't a minor nation, maybe more minor nations are going to get a bit more of a say. And to me, that is always interesting, makes me very optimistic for the future. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Ambrosius McClellan, B. Young, Blackie, Daniel Stanton, John Ryman, Joseph Anders, Martinez, Mopar 1969, Moxie, Super Cacti, Uyans Terry, and Elove Goats, and of course Seductive Trash Can for supporting the channel.